What's up, y'all? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's talk. Okay, that's what this is about to be. I don't know if it's going to be a review, but let's talk about it. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. This is season 2, and I want to speak about episodes 3 through 5 in this video. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, y'all. So let's talk about it. And I'm gonna let you know off rip. I am tired. So if the energy's low, my apologies. It's been a couple of weeks. Okay, y'all. Life is life, and everybody want to graduate. Everybody want to get married in the month of May. People want to come see you. You want to go see people. Like I'm tired. Okay, I feel jet lag, but I have not been on a plane. Okay, in a hot minute. All right, so I don't even know why my body is this tired, but here we are. So, like I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about episodes 3 through 5. And I think the way that I'm going to talk about this, so this video is not like 2 hours long because y'all know I can talk and I ramble because I don't have time. I don't have the energy to like edit a 2 hour video. I think I'm just going to talk about, cast member by cast member, okay? So first up, let's talk about Miranda. I like Miranda for the most part, but I don't feel like she's needed for this show. And what I mean by that is after she spoke to Taylor on episode 3, it just feels like there's no more need for her. Like she seems to have an opinion, but she only shares it in the confessional. And she seems very reserved in group scenes. And that's mainly because she's still trying to find a way into this group as it states now. And like I said, we're talking about episodes 3 through 5. So my opinion could change as I continue watching the season. But it just is like, girl, she not giving me nothing. Like, even though she's here and Jyn is using her as a shoulder to lean on, to vent to, and to cry to, it's just kind of like you could take Miranda out of that and pluck in Whitney or Taylor or Macy and we be fine. You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of like, this just ain't working. Like, I like her, but she's not really working for me. She just feels like a background character, okay? But with Miranda, on episode 3, she is trying to get Chase to leave the Halloween party from hell. And the crazy thing is, like, the fact that everybody in that room is sober is crazy. Like, y'all was carrying on like this and nobody had a lick of alcohol in their system is shenanigans, okay? So she's pleading with Chase, who is her ex-husband, to leave the party. She even yells at him saying, like, I didn't want him to come. Like, she was like, she says it in her confessional, I didn't want him to come, and I told him not to come because she was like, I knew this was going to happen. So she's yelling at him to leave. She's getting worked up. She starts to cry. She's also consoling Chase's girlfriend, Kate, who is also crying and getting worked up and begging Chase to leave the party. But Chase is looking at both of them like, y'all don't tell me what to do. I tell myself what to do, and we not leaving. So she's mortified by that. The next day, we see a group of the girls go to like this pumpkin patch with a few of their kids. And while the rest of the ladies are going through like this corn maze that ends up on a trail ride, we end up seeing Taylor and Miranda finally have a conversation. And they talk about the swinging situation. Miranda ends up being like, all we did was kiss. And Taylor was like, no, girl, we kind of did some Love Island type stuff. And if you watch Love Island, I don't really watch Love Island, but I have seen the clips of it. Some of the games they play are very suggestive, are very overtly sexual and raunchy. So I'm like, okay, so y'all was playing sex games pretty much. That's what I wrote in my notes because I do have a little bit of notes here. And Taylor then in her confessional just lists out some of the things that they did together. I think she was like, they would blindfold each other. The wives would get blindfolded and some of the husbands would kiss them and they would have to guess who kissed them. Some of the girls would make out, get a little drunk and make out in front of the husbands. She also said that there was like dry humping. Then she said that a few of the, like, there's this thing that they would do where they would be in the shower, like all of them, but they would be engaging in like sex with their partners but not with each other. There was like no swapping out of each other. So they did more than kiss. They did everything but not have sex, but they did more than kiss. So then things started to get real in the conversation where Miranda just is like, girl, it was hard. Like, you exposed all of us. I lost my husband. I lost my best friend. People around me were looking at me crazy and ostracizing me because of what you did. So it was hard. It was hard she was like, I felt bad for pushing you away, but I just didn't know what to do. And Taylor starts to realize, like, wow, like, I didn't give nobody a choice. And I think that's the thing where I struggle with Taylor, is because I feel like Taylor is in a constant victim state, but also she contradicts herself where she sometimes takes accountability, but then she doesn't. Because I'm like, Taylor, why would you not think people would be mad at you? The women, the men and women that you did this thing with, like, you didn't give them a choice. So the betrayal that you constantly say you feel that you got from Dakota, you did to other people. You betrayed them. Like, you got on the internet because you got upset about something that was happening in the group, and you decided to blast everybody. And in doing so, it changed everybody's life. So, next thing you know, Taylor just starts to cry and talks about how she hates the person that she was in 2020 and how she wants to leave that person behind. She was like, I was a horrible wife. I used to be so loyal to my husband. She was like, I was a horrible friend and I used to be a good friend. I don't want to be her anymore. So they pretty much come to the understanding that, like, they're cool, but they'll probably never be friends the way that they used to be. But they don't really have any animosity or beef towards each other. And I was like, I'm glad that this conversation happened. But like I said, it ultimately left me feeling like, what's the point of Miranda being here now that this conversation has happened? You know, because the women are starting to warm up to her very slowly, and she's not trying to rock the boat too harshly. So it's just kind of like she's just there, you know? So moving on. Next, Layla. Layla to me is a follower. Finding out that she wrote that letter about Jyn, the way she got into the argument with Chase and Taylor, and then the way that she was trying to puff up her chest at the hibachi dinner, Layla to me is a follower. I was disappointed when we got back to this season and Layla was not living like a city girl, hot girl summer, because that's what I want for her. She's 23. She has she has 2 kids. 23, 2 kids. You just got your titties done. You have a substantial following on TikTok. You making money off of brand deals. You on this show. Like, you should be dating around. You should not be trying to get, like, cuffed up or booed up with somebody just yet. Like, you were married. I guess, did she ever say how old she was? I would guess she probably got married when she was like 20. If she got 2 kids, she probably got married at like 20 or 21 or something like that. And I'm just like, Layla, girl, like, I want Layla to get some black friends. I want her to, like, experience life. Like, having like 2 kids at 23 is a lot. But you have, like, options because you are on this show. Like I said, you have this substantial following from TikTok. You making money. Like, you don't just have to date the men in Utah. You could date the men in Arizona, California, New Mexico. I don't know what's above Utah. Is it Colorado or Washington State? I don't know. Either way, you do not have to be with anybody in Utah, girl. So she's really, like, head over heels for Cameron. We find out that Cameron is a preacher's son or a bishop's son. And I said, girl, you want to go to therapy. Because when I tell you, as the grandchild of a preacher and the grandchild of 2 deacons and a church secretary who was working for the church for over 25 plus years, preachers' kids are wild. They come in like 3 variations. Either they are extremely conservative, very pulled together, very judgmental, like judgmental to the point of, like, it's detrimental to everybody around them, including themselves. And they're very, like, isolated and closed off to people. And they're fake as hell. They're not really nice people. Or you get the ones that are, like, in a very rebellious state and they on drugs. They out here having a bunch of kids. You know, they ain't living right. Okay, like the old people say. Or you get some that are, like, in the middle who are more balanced and they go to college or they don't go to college, but they're well-rounded. They have a worldly view, but they are still, like, they still have a connection to their faith and their spirituality. And I mean, like, I don't know what Cameron is on, but the fact that, like, Layla kept talking about how they've had sex together and how he's not really supposed to be doing that, but he wants to do it with her, I was like, girl, chill out. Chill out. It's also given that Layla is Cameron's first mixed girl, because he be in her face. Not saying that Layla isn't pretty, but it don't give me that Cameron date outside his race, for real. Because she hasn't even met his family, but she's talking about she's really in love with him and all of this stuff. And I'm like, Layla, you gonna get your feelings hurt, because I'm like, girl, if you were his first his first mixed girl. Oh, girl. Ooh. Oh, girl. And so she's just like, yeah, she's so into him. And I'm just like, why are you worried about this? Why? So on episode 4, we find out that Macy got a book deal, which congrats to her. She decides to throw like a dinner to invite everybody and express to them, like, you know, surprise them with the news. And so she surprises them. She reads an excerpt out of the book. She gets very emotional. It like brings the mood down at the little event. And then they decide to play this game where they all write like secrets about each other, and they're going to be anonymous, and then they throw them in like, I think like a bucket or a bowl, and then everyone pulls one out and they just go through and read the anonymous secrets. At first it was all like fun and games, like people talking about they like to get their toes sucked, like someone said when they first swallowed they threw up. Another person said you know, they like to do it in a hot tub. Someone said like, oh, I've done it in 5 high school parking lots. Like nobody was calling anybody out. It was just them like being all salacious and, you know, being cheeky with each other. And then Taylor pulls out a confession or a secret, and she reads it and she's like, ooh, okay. Okay. And so everyone's kind of like, what, Taylor? You're making me nervous. And so Taylor reads it, and I think it says, let me look at my notes. Oh, it says, I think Jyn is fake. So Jyn gets visibly emotional because she's like, oh my gosh, because she's already not in a good place with the women. Everybody is looking around trying to figure out who wrote the note. And right now, because Jyn is at odds with Demi and Jessi, everybody assumes that it's Demi or Jessi. But the camera kept panning to Michaela and Layla. And I was like, why is the camera panning to Michaela and Layla? But then it dawned on me when the ladies were at the what's it called? The sunflower patch, or doing the hay rides and all of that stuff, the pumpkin patch. At the pumpkin patch, when they were on the hay rides, Michaela was agreeing with Jessi when she said she liked Miranda, but she didn't like the fact that Miranda was getting close to Jyn. And everybody was like, yeah, they're kind of off Jyn, because everyone feels like Jyn is lying a lot nowadays. So I was like, okay, that is why the camera keeps panning to Michaela. But I'm like, why is the camera panning to Layla? Like, what's the beef between Layla and Jyn? And mind you, I don't really like Jyn. Okay, I don't like her. I'm gonna just be honest. As it states right now, she's not a likable person. Okay, I know the lady going through stuff, and we'll talk about that, but she's not likable. But I don't understand why Layla would write that about her, and it doesn't seem like Jyn has done anything directly towards Layla. And it then makes me think about the interview that Layla did with Page 6 with Jessi, where it's like Layla takes on the issues of other people, and that's follower behavior. Jyn ain't done nothing to you for you to write that. So Jyn is like in full on tears having a breakdown, and they're trying to console her. So we find out on episode 5 that Macy let it be known that it was Layla that wrote it. And so Jyn is like, I figured she would do something like that because she is the type of person that goes with who's the loudest in the group. And right now, Jessi and Demi are the loudest in the group. So Whitney in episode 5 has a baby shower, and she invites everybody in the group, but Layla, Michaela, Demi, and Jessi don't go. Jessi's friend has like a hibachi like grill, and so they decide to have a hibachi dinner. And while they're there, they're like, so what you gonna do when you speak to Jyn? Because I think she knows now that you're the one that wrote the letter. And Layla's like, I'm not afraid of Jyn. And I'm like, but what did Jyn do to you specifically, Layla, for you to write that? It just felt like she was pumping up her chest so she could be accepted by those 3 ladies at the table. And I thought that was lame behavior. So right now, Layla is a follower. So next, let's talk about messy Macy. Y'all know I like Macy. Macy isn't really doing much this season as it states right now, but she still is being messy. Okay, like them questioning Miranda about her intentions and being in this group. I mean, she was trying to help with Dakota and Taylor at the party. She was trying to calm Taylor down. I don't like the way that she's behaving when it comes to Whitney versus Michaela, because it's like, girl, either you agree with what Michaela is doing and you tell Whitney that, or you tell Michaela that you don't want any parts of her constantly trash talking Whitney. But trying to act like, oh, I'm in the middle and I didn't know that she was going to post that video. Girl, you know Michaela don't like her. So I don't understand why you just can't tell Michaela, like, hey, I don't want to be a part of this. Or, hey, you kind of doing too much. Because I feel like Macy thinks Michaela is doing too much. Because every time Michaela says something about Whitney, Macy doesn't say anything. She gets like uncomfortable because she still somewhat likes Whitney to a certain extent. And she still wants to be cool with Whitney to a certain extent. But she still wants to be cool with Michaela as well. And she knows Michaela is more mad and has more connections to this group. So she gonna go where her butter is, is it her biscuit is buttered? I think that's how it is. Where her biscuit is buttered. I think that's the euphemism or the phrase. So I was just like, Macy, girl, speak up. like speak up for us, please. Come on now. I'm glad that she got a book deal. Macy, to me, is the one that's using this platform correctly. Last season, she launched her like baby mama. I think it was like vitamins or something, or like that line, and now she has a book deal. She's doing other things that go beyond the reality TV show as well as goes beyond TikTok, because TikTok, as we know, is not they could take it away from us at any time or at any moment. So I'm just kind of like, okay, Macy, I see you. Her telling what's it called, Jyn, that Layla was the one that wrote the letter. I wonder how she found that out. I wonder if she messaged Layla and Layla told her she wrote it, or Layla just, said it to her. But either way, I don't think Jyn needed to know, but I don't know, maybe she did. You know what, I take that back. She needed to know, because I would be like, so which one of y'all wrote it? Like, that would be at the back of my mind. So I'm not... That was okay with me, basically. You was okay. But this game she played where she was like, it was just an innocent game. Girl, that game wasn't innocent. You knew it was going to get the party started. You knew it was going to get the party started, Macy. But as of right now, she really hasn't done much in the episode. Other than, like, say that she was going to mediate a situation or a sit down between Michaela and Whitney, which she really didn't do. Like, she didn't do it. So it was just kind of like, you just kind of here. And she's also been there for a shoulder for Taylor to cry on and things of that nature. But Macy is kind of more about her bag than anything. And I respect it. Okay. So let's move over to Michaela. Michaela's getting on my nerves, and she's very unlikable this season. Okay. After the Halloween party from hell, we actually see that it is Halloween night. Everybody online has been talking about the age gap between her and her husband. I don't know if it's really him, but the baby, their first child that she had, she was 16 and supposedly he was 21. And if you do the math, she's 24 and he's 29. It checks out. Ew. Okay. So okay. Choices. And I mean, that's what they do over there. But, oh, God. No, ma'am. So Michaela goes over to her sister's house. Her sister and her two sisters, one is dressed like Whitney, and I think the other one was supposed to be Taylor. I don't know. Either way, I wrote in my notes, I was like, Michaela and her family are lame. Like, why are you dressing up as Whitney? At this point, you are obsessed. As much as Michaela likes to say that Whitney is self-centered and she only thinks about herself, you are the one that is doing things towards her. So she's not crazy. You're not going to gaslight her into thinking that you are the one that has the problem with her when she ain't done nothing to you since everything that happened last season. You the one that keeps getting on the internet throwing shade and taking shots at her. Okay? You getting annoying. All right? You was already annoying at the beginning of the season. I'm on episode 5 and I'm very annoyed by you, okay? So she talks about how she knows she's coming off very mean. She even spoke about how she was mean to Miranda. Then she talks about how in her family, the only emotion that they were really allowed to share was anger. She talks about her chronic illness of having the eczema and how severe it is. And she feels like it's a inside manifestation coming out because she bottles a lot of things in. We find out that unfortunately for like 4 to 5 years she was being SA'd, and she shared that information with her mom Halloween in 2015, and her mom did not believe her. So the abuse seemed to have stopped when she turned 15, and I hate that for her. And she even said, like, after she told her mom and her mom didn't believe her, she basically lost her voice. And now through therapy, she's finding her voice. But Michaela don't have any regulations. Like, she don't know how to regulate it because, like, girl, there's a way that you can say your truth and speak up for yourself and not come off being a bitch, like, for no reason. And I like bitchy characters. I do. I like me a good bitch, okay? But that's not how Michaela's coming off. Michaela's just coming off like mean and obsessed, and it'd be different if Whitney was going back and forth with her, but she's not. So it's just like, girl, you look crazy. Okay. But I hate that she expressed what happened to her mom and she didn't believe her. That is, I've never understood that. When children go to their parents and tell them, like, this person did this to me, this person is doing that to me, and they don't believe them. Like, what? And I know it's a multitude of things of, like, you know, not wanting to believe that that person would harm your child, the guilt that you feel that you didn't know that that was happening to your children and you didn't stop it, or you didn't have the ability, like, you know, to know what was going on. But if I ever have kids, if my child ever comes up to me and tells me that someone harmed them, especially in that way, I'm going to believe them, and that person is going to be down at the morgue by the end of the night. Like, it is what it is at that point. Like, you know, it's going to be a crime scene. So I just don't understand why her mother wouldn't believe her. And I feel bad for her that happened to her. And I'm glad that she's in therapy and getting help. But I just need her to understand that, like, girl, having a voice doesn't mean you just could just be mean to people. I don't. So we actually see Michaela go to therapy. She talks about taking her power back from the person that harmed her as well as from her mom. She actually does this, like, role playing with the therapist that's like, look at me as a person that harmed you. And she was like, I want you to be as nasty, as malicious as you can be and say what you need to say. But she struggles with being mean and like she gets embarrassed. But I'm like, yeah, girl, like, you could be mean to everybody else. You should definitely be mean to the person that hurt you. Okay, you know, get it out. Because I feel like if she gets everything out, she probably wouldn't be the way she is right about now. Okay, so then we get to episode 4, and we see Macy, Michaela, and Taylor, like, meet up. They talk about, you know, Jyn and everything. We move on from that, and we actually finally have a sit down between Whitney and Michaela, because Whitney ends up calling Macy because Michaela is doing, like, around, like, she did like 4 TikToks, or they showed us 4 TikToks back to back of where she's poking fun at Whitney, or like, you know, going off on Whitney, and Macy is in the videos, and Whitney ends up calling Macy, and she's like, girl, either we cool or we not cool. Like, are we not friends or are we friends? Because you're telling me we're working on being in a better relationship, but yet I see you in videos of Macy, like, poking fun at me or basically talking trash about me. So like what is it, girl? And so Macy ends up, like, being like, oh, I just did the video. I didn't know what she posted. And I'm like, yeah, you lying, Macy. I'm sorry. You know what Michaela is on. You know what type of time it's on. So we find out that at Macy's book, like, dinner thing, she actually invites all the girls to go to, like, a celebrity pickleball match in Arizona. And before they go down to Arizona for the girls trip, Macy was like, well, maybe I can get you and Michaela to have a conversation so y'all will be okay at the girls trip. And Whitney's like, okay, I'm cool with that, but girl, get your friend. Get your friend. So they finally have a sit down. And Michaela, I don't like the way that Michaela sprung this on. I don't like the way Macy sprung this on Michaela, because you already know Michaela does not like Whitney. So lying to her about going somewhere and Whitney being there and not telling her, you already set the conversation up for failure. So doesn't really want to rock with Whitney. She says in her confessional that last season she felt left out, and she was like, her and Whitney were friends for like 2 years, and she was like, Whitney unfollows me, and then she shows up to my birthday and she's more worried about talking to Macy instead of trying to talk to me. So what this sounds like to me is like, girl, you got hurt feelings. As much as you say you don't care about Whitney, you don't, like, want to be around her, you are constantly poking fun at her, saying mean things about her in your confessionals and how you don't like her. But it sounds like you bothered that she seemed to take more priority in getting her friendship back with Macy than with you. Like, it just feels like you are lashing out. So they sit down, and Whitney's just kind of like, what's up with, like, what's your issue with me? Like, what's your issue with me? And Michaela was like, I just want you to move past this. I just want you to move forward. And Whitney's like, Michaela, I can't move forward when I get on the internet and you're making videos about me. And she was like, well, I can make videos about you on we're not friends. And Whitney's like, yes, we're not friends. So why are you making videos about me? And I don't follow you. Because Michaela was like, you don't follow me. And Whitney's like, no, I don't follow you, but it's on my FYP and I constantly see you making videos about me. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, at this point, it's starting to feel like harassment. And Michaela's like, it's not harassment. But Michaela, it is at this point. Like, the lady is telling, because then Michaela makes herself look stupid, in my opinion, when she's like, well, if you have a problem with him, just tell me. And Whitney's like, that's what I'm telling you right now. And she's like, well, Whitney, everything's not about you, but you're making it about you, about Whitney. Like Whitney says, you're making it about me. So how is it not about me? And you're making these videos about me. So I'm like, yeah, Michaela, like, girl, what? You're not, you tell the girl you're not friends with her. You don't want to be friends with her. And she should just move past it. But yeah, you constantly getting on TikTok making videos about her, saying how much of like she's a loser and she's not a good friend, she's a horrible person, she's a narcissist and all of this stuff. And you expect her to not say something to you about it. And I wanted Whitney to cuss her out, because had it been me, I'd have started cussing her out. She would have been crying at that donut shop or wherever they was at, because it's but so many times I'm gonna tell you to leave me alone until I start getting active. Because I was like, Whitney, at some point, like while they were talking, I was like, Whitney, cut the conversation off and start playing, like, play them games too. Start talking shit about her too on TikTok if she want to play these games. Because what we not do is this. We're not about to do this. So Michaela's like, we can be cordial. I'll be cordial, but I don't want a friendship with you. And so Whitney is upset because I guess she actually wanted to like reconcile with Michaela. But Michaela also had this like safe word situation with Macy, where she was like, when I say the word sisterhood, come and get me, because she called Macy on the phone, but she muted Macy, so Macy couldn't hear what Michaela and Whitney were talking about. So she's just sitting in the car, just like waiting for her to come out, and Macy is like, she muted me, so I don't know if she's saying it. So Michaela kept saying sisterhood, sisterhood, sisterhood. And Whitney's just looking at her like, girl, okay, the sisterhood. And then what really took me out is when Whitney was in that confessional reading off that Bible verse. I think it was like Ephesians something. I said, Whitney, let it go. Let it go. So then Michaela leaves. Whitney starts crying at the table. And I'm just like, yeah, Whitney, just pay her dust. Like, if she doesn't want to be friends, y'all don't have to be friends. But at this point, Michaela's the one with the issue, because you're the one that's trying to really like move past it by having a conversation with her. She just wants to be committed to being mad. So let her just be mad and you go about your day. So let's talk about Whitney. So in episode 3, Whitney finally has her baby. We find out it's a boy. His name is Billy. I'm going to be honest, Whitney is in a lavender marriage. Oh my gosh, which is nothing wrong with that if she know what's up. But like, I don't know the name. I forget the name of her husband, but the way that like he was like there for her while she was having her baby and stuff. And I'm not saying straight men can't do that, but I was like, girl, y'all are good girlfriends. The way they was like, when she was sitting in that bed and they were coloring on the coloring book, I said, that is your best friend. That is your best friend. You two made a pact to, you know, hey, you want to be a mother? He said, I got the sperm. He gay, he want to live his life. You said, live your life. Okay, we'll just keep the facade going. Because I said, this is a lavender marriage. I don't care what nobody says. And I mean, I thought it was really sweet the way he was coaching her, you know, while she was having her baby, and like the way he was holding the baby, the way she was holding the baby, and how she was just like, you know, I feel so close to God in heaven when I hold a baby. And I say, yeah, girl. I was like, y'all are in a lavender marriage. It's cute. It's cute. And it looks like he figured out what style he want to stay with. I think his name is Connor. Because Connor got the mustache and the hair, and I think he gonna keep it that way. Because like I said, he was going through too many changes last season, but he looked good. So the next thing, on episode 4, there was a sex party for Layla. It was, you know, because she has told the ladies that she hasn't had an orgasm before. So they threw a sex party. It was at Demi's house, and they did not invite Whitney. And I thought maybe Whitney didn't want to go because she just had a baby. But when she found out that there was one, her feelings were actually hurt. But I was like, girl, you still not on good terms with them. We do see in episode 3 that Taylor and Macy go and visit her. And they're pretty much kind of like, Whitney is making a effort to try to be better and try to be a mom talk, and they just don't want to like push her out on the outskirts. So they wanted to see the baby, and you could tell that Whitney misses the drama. Like she also kind of felt some type of way that she wasn't invited to the Halloween party, but like she was like all the drama that happened, you could tell she wanted to be in the mix. You could tell she wanted. So she was just like, dang. She was like, I miss being in mom talk. I said, yeah, girl, because you missed the drama. Okay, you missed the drama. So they had the party. She wasn't invited. She felt some type of way. She was invited to Macy's book signing situation. Not signing, but her book deal, where she expressed to everyone that she got a book deal. And everyone was kind of like, oh, you invited Whitney? Like Demi, Jessi, Michaela, Layla were just like, oh, you invited her? Like they still feel some type of way about Whitney. So in episode 5, we actually see Miranda and Whitney go to like a baby store to get some more clothes for her child, and she basically is like, they're both kind of talking about like what's going on. They talk about Jyn because they were the two girls that were consoling Jyn after the book party when she was crying in the parking lot after Layla called her fake, and they were like, yeah, they really feel bad for her. And they were both kind of like, they're both in this weird space with the group, like they're both trying to get back into the group. And right now, Whitney lets it be known that her and Macy had a conversation, and Macy shared with her that she feels like Whitney doesn't support her. So Whitney decides that, you know what, because we're going to Arizona for this pickleball thing, she wanted to support Macy. She wanted to do something special. So she made a separate group chat without Macy. And she texted everyone saying like, hey, I would like to do something for everybody. And everybody left her on red except for Miranda. And that's because Miranda was standing there. And Miranda was, it makes the, Whitney was like, girl, say something in the group chat because nobody's responding to me. They really still not feeling her by episode 5. So like I said, Michaela and Whitney had a conversation, and Whitney does get like visibly emotional because she's just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm apologizing, I'm trying to make better efforts, but she's like not receptive. And me and her used to be really close friends, and she don't see it for me anymore. And I was like, girl, is there really a friendship you want? Like, I don't get me wrong, Whitney was an asshole last season, but Michaela's behavior to me is like on par, a little bit worse, or maybe on the same par as Whitney's behavior last season. Like, you doing a lot. Calm down. Calm down. So Whitney is having a baby shower. She invites everybody to the baby shower, but only Jyn, Miranda, Macy, and Taylor show up. The rest of the ladies, i.e. Layla, Demi, Jessi, and Michaela, go to Jessi's house to have hibachi. And while at the wedding, well, not to say wedding shower, the baby shower, at the baby shower, it's revealed that, oh, and that's the other thing why I say Macy is messy. I didn't say that in Macy's part. Macy does that like Sinners Wins Sunday or Sinners Sunday or whatever, where people drop down anonymous confessions on her, I think it's called Sinners Confessions, on her Instagram, and somebody left a message on her saying that they slept with Brent, who is Demi's husband, while she was away. So at the baby shower, they end up talking about the confession because Taylor has an issue with Demi because she feels like Demi has been like unnecessarily like poking at her, and she also feels like Demi is on some type of high horse and she wants to knock her down to size. So she brings up what Macy shared with her and Michaela about what she got from Sinner's Confessions or Sunday Confession, whatever you want to call it. And Macy looks like, girl, why'd you say that? Because she didn't share it with the group. And Taylor's like, oh, I thought you shared it with the group. She didn't share that with the group, Taylor. You knew she didn't share that with the group. You just wanted to be messy. And so it's revealed, they revealed that skeleton in Demi's closet. So then while they're at the baby shower, they also talk about the fight that Jyn and Jessi had because they had a meetup. So everybody's just dropping tea at Whitney's baby shower. And now everyone's worried about the vibes and how it's going to be when they head to Arizona for the pickleball. But we find out at the hibachi dinner that everybody really doesn't have issues with Whitney other than Michaela. Right now, the new Whitney is Jyn. All right, y'all. So my apologies in advance if the audio is wonky. My microphone is being a booty hole right now, and it's not wanting to connect to my iPad. So here we are, okay? But the next person is Demi. Right now, I'm still cool with Demi. I know a lot of people are mad at her. I'll probably see it in the next couple of episodes coming up. I know about the whole Jessi situation and things of that nature, but I haven't seen it play out for myself for me to give an opinion. And I know about her back and forth with Taylor. But right now, she's not really getting on my nerves. I know people were upset with her about what happened at the Halloween party. I didn't think it was that deep. Chase was being a douchebag. He already had his ex-wife and his girlfriend crying. Jessi grabs her friend, which is Kate, to calm her down. Demi ends up telling Chase, why don't you go check up on your girl instead of worrying about Dakota and Taylor? Chase gets in his feelings and decides to walk past Demi, poke her, and be like, where's Brent? Worry about your husband. Like, where's your husband? And so Demi is like, don't touch me, runs upstairs while Brent is trying to get ready for this whole Chippendales party, whatever, to do his little dance. She's like, that man put his hands on me. Brent goes into action like, let's go, let's get it. He runs outside. Now they getting real ignorant in front of the house. And the black boy is trying to stop them from fighting. And I was like, somebody is going to call the police. I need you to be away from this situation, black man. Okay, you're in Utah. Know your surroundings. I don't care if you're mixed. You are the darkest person in this group. Know your surroundings, sir. Okay? And do I think Demi put 20 on 10? Yes, she definitely did. He poked her. But do I care? Not really, because I don't like Chase. Let me tell you something. If I don't like you and you decide to touch me in an argument, best believe I'm smacking your hand or I'm poking you in the face. Okay? Like, it was like, you can tell that he uses his hands to intimidate women, because the way he kept pointing at Taylor and his girlfriend had to come up and be like, stop doing that, means he does that to her. And that is disrespectful. And if we are arguing, keep your hands to your side or take a step back, because I know everybody talks with their hands. I talk with my hands. And if I get into arguments with people, I normally take a step back because I don't want anybody to think I'm like about to like throw fists or with you or anything like that. But yeah, no, like I didn't care. I did not care that Brent went outside and was like, don't touch my wife. And Jordan was like, take accountability. It was just like, y'all getting real ignorant in this gated community, in this white neighborhood. Somebody's calling the cops and that's what happened. So I wasn't really mad about that. I think it was episode 4. We don't really get much of Demi other than like everyone's talking about Jyn and how they feel about her and her lying and things of that nature, and them trying to figure out like what to do about that relationship and her being upset, Jyn being upset about the Chippendale situation. We do see Demi and what's her name? Demi and Jessi go to Pilates and they talk about Whitney having her baby shower. They decide they're not going to go. And that's when Jessi lets it be known they're going to do hibachi. They feel like Jyn is fake. And this is after Jessi and Jyn got into it. So Jessi is off of Jyn, okay? And then Demi ends up telling her on her way to Pilates, she had a 45-minute conversation with Zach, where Zach is asking her about the Chippendale situation, because Zach, Brent, and Jordan went and had a conversation. They went golfing, and Zach was like trying to call them out about the Chippendales thing, saying that he felt like it was very disrespectful and they could have gave him a warning. And then the men are like, well, we were under the impression that you knew about this because Jyn had communicated with the girls that she was fine with it. So Jordan is getting kind of the brunt of Zach's energy, because Zach feels like Jordan was the main one grinding up on Jyn, but Jordan was like, I wasn't really grinding on her. I kind of rubbed, but I ain't rubbed my body on her like that. And then Brent is like, honestly, what you and Jyn are lacking is communication and intent. And it feels like Jyn is a moving target based off of how you react to things. So Brent is trying to point out to Zach that like Jyn is not honest with you or with people around you the people around her based off of your reactions to things. And Zach is like, yeah, like I'll take that in. And they're like, yeah, you need to take it in. So while Demi and Jessi were at Pilates, that is when it is known that Zach ended up calling Demi, and Demi ends up telling Zach, like, no, Jyn knew about it. We see a flashback where we actually hear Demi telling, what's her name? Telling Jyn while she's getting her hair done by Jessi that they're going to do the Chippendales thing. And Jyn is like, oh my gosh, I love that. They even said that they even suggested that Zach be a part of it. And she was just like, I don't know about that, but I think this will be okay. I think this will be fun. So it's like, you did know about it. And now because Zach is offended by it, all of a sudden you didn't consent to it. And granted, she may have not known like everything, but when Jyn and Jessi sit down, the main thing she was harping on is that they flew in the instructor. She wasn't really mad for real in the beginning of their argument about the dancing. So it's like she keeps moving the goalposts, in my opinion. Okay, so that was about it. Other than Jyn keeps bringing up what happened in Italy and saying that, like, Demi got kissed on the cheek by some single men and they were playing truth or dare. She lets that cat out of the bag when they were at Whitney's baby shower. And at the hibachi night, Demi basically said, if Jyn wants to come at me, I will dominate her and decimate her. Like, it's if she want to go for blood, we can go for blood. And I said, girl, it is what it is at this point. So since I talked about Demi, let's talk about Jessi. Jessi was regretting having all them people at her house. And I said, that's what you get for trying to be that messy. Not even trying to be, you were messy. Inviting Chase, knowing that Chase and Dakota and Taylor don't get along and that like virtually nobody really likes him, but you wanted to see something pop off. What you did embarrassed your friend, your actual friend Kate. The girl was having a whole breakdown. You got Miranda crying at your house. Demi and Chase get into it. Everybody gets so worked up. They fighting in front of your house, embarrassing you in front of your neighbors. That's what you get. I hope you learned a lesson, Jessi. If you gonna be messy, don't have that stuff at your house in your gated community. Girl, you should have did that at an event center. That's why I was like, I don't understand why you inviting all this chaos and confusion to your house. I am a firm believer that, that type of stuff be leaving like lingering spirits. And then you got all that energy at your house of aggression, girl. That was crazy. Honestly, the rest of the episodes, like episodes 4 and 5, wasn't really much until we got to episode 5 where Jyn and Jessi actually had a conversation about like their relationship. On episode 4 at Layla's like sex party, they find out from Miranda that Jyn and Zach aren't in a good place. And we find out from Jessi that her and Jyn used to talk all the time, but they're just in a weird place because she's like, she be lying. She was like, she lying about things that I don't think is that deep, or she's just lying. And I'm trying to figure out, is she lying because she doesn't like confrontation, or is she just a liar and she's not authentic? And so they end up having a conversation on episode 5, and you could tell that Jyn had a battery put in her back because when she was in the car with Zach talking about, I'm from the hood, I said, girl, don't ever say that again. I was like, girl, like, and it grossed me out. It gave me the ick, like, for real, because Jyn is biracial. Her mom is Hispanic, but you have yet to see her tap into her Hispanic culture because she's ashamed of it, because she lives in Utah. She's ashamed of the fact that her mom's a maid. But the only time you reference that culture is when you want to get aggressive with somebody because I'm from the hood. Like, you take more pride in being associated with Ben Affleck, somebody that doesn't even know you, than actually taking pride in the fact that you have Hispanic heritage. Don't ever do that again, Jyn. Don't ever do that again. Oh my gosh. So she sits down with Jessi, and it kind of like, she gets straight to it. Like, she's just like going a mile a minute, basically saying like, why are y'all bashing me? Like, when have I ever did anything intentionally to hurt you? And so then Jessi is like, you be lying. Like, you're lying. So Jyn is like, what did I lie about? She was like, you lied. And so Jessi is like, you lied about the Chippendales thing. You know for a fact we told you about it, and you're telling Zach that you knew nothing about it. And so that's when Jyn was like, I didn't agree to have your husband rub his little dick on me. And I was just like, well, girl, what did you've been to Chippendales, you were there, you know what it's about. So then Jyn is like, I didn't agree for y'all to fly in a stripper. And Jessi is like, he's a choreographer, he's a dancer, and yeah, we flew him in, like, you knew about it. So Jyn is trying to act like she didn't know about anything, but it's like now she's trying to move the goalpost, being like, I didn't know the extent of everything. And so I'm just like, girl, you knew what was going on. Like, you knew it was going to happen. So why didn't you just tell Zach and give him the heads up? Like, are you serious? So She gets upset. So then Jessi brings up the whole like her line about being cousins with Ben Affleck. I didn't even think that was something that they needed to argue about. I was just like, it is what it is. They start going back and forth, and then Jyn starts talking about she feel like she being bullied, and I was like, you're not being bullied. People holding your feet to the fire about lies is not you being bullied. So then Jyn is like, you know what? I know what you're trying to do, and I'm just gonna let you know because of your past, I'm not gonna swing with you. Me and my husband are not gonna do that. And she gagged Jessi because Jessi said, girl, what? Are you serious? And then she immediately gets up and just runs out of the store or the coffee shop. And we find out that Jessi did have, like, her and her husband did swing, but it was her previous husband, not who she's with now, not with Jordan. And she was like, yeah, that was my past. But for Jyn to throw that in my face shows the type of person she is. And I was just like, yeah. My thing about it is Jyn is lying. You keep getting called out about your lies. If you want people to take your relationship seriously or you want to be taken seriously about it, then be honest about it and stop sharing the nasty details of your marriage. Like, I don't understand why you think that women that are seeing you be in a toxic relationship where some people actually feel like you're being abused are going to constantly tell you to stay with that man. And you keep sharing these details with them, expecting them to be like, oh, it's just a rough patch. No, you need to go to therapy because this is insane. It's psycho. It's psycho for you to expect people to be okay with you being harmed. Like, especially if they're supposed to be your friends. So their conversation didn't go anywhere. And it looks like the next couple of episodes, Jyn and Demi gonna get into it. Okay, because now that she's gotten into it with Jessi, now she kind of feeling like she ready to get into it with Demi. Let's talk about Jyn. So at the Halloween party, they do the Chippendales dance. You could tell that Zach is over it. Like, he not for it. He is actually quite irritated, and I don't fault him because it does feel like they're making him the brunt of the joke. But then come to find out that Jyn knew about it and didn't tell him, it's like, girl, you keep saying these women are putting you and your marriage in precarious situations, but you're the one not being honest about what's happening. If you weren't okay with them doing the Chippendales dance, you should have told them, I don't know about that, y'all. Me and Zach are still in a rocky place, and I don't think he'll be okay with that. Or if you were okay with them doing it, you should have just told Zach, they're going to do this Chippendales dance, don't worry about it, so he would be prepared. But you're not telling him that because you want some type of reaction, or you're expecting him to have a different reaction than he already has. And honestly, y'all haven't really worked on your issues long enough to actually like really pin down whether or not he has changed or not, which he hasn't. He has not. So he's upset. We actually see them on episode 3 go for like a walk in the park, and she basically says, I don't want you to be mad at me and take out your frustrations on me. Zach is like, I'm not doing that. But it seems like after the whole Chippendale situation, he went off on Jyn, like he was pissed off about it. Zach basically says that she has crappy friends and they're playing with his marriage, and he's like it's coming down to like us versus mom talk, our marriage versus mom talk. And so Zach gets upset, frustrated to the point where he says he don't want to film no more because he feels like it's like his, because I see where Zach is coming from, but I also see where Jyn is coming from. Zach feels like what he's saying to her is valid. Like, we not in a good place. I don't like that whole Chippendale situation, and it feels like I'm being the brunt of the joke, and these are supposed to be your friends, and I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation. But Jyn is like, no, the way you are behaving, you are mad at me. You're not mad at this situation, and I want you to be honest about that and work on that. But Zach feels like he has when he really hasn't done the work. And so he doesn't want to be seen as like this malicious or this abusive person. So he decides like he don't want to film anymore. And Jyn is like, okay, you don't got to film anymore, but we going to still talk about this, which they should talk about it. So he's just over it and he don't want to film with them. We already talked about them having a conversation with Britt and Jordan and with Brent and Jordan about the Chippendales thing. And that's what he finds out, because he's trying to tell the men, like, that hurt my feelings. But like, y'all could have gave me a heads up. And they apologized. They're like, yeah, we could have gave you a heads up. My bad, bro. But like, Jyn knew about it. So now everyone's like, yeah, Jyn, you lying because you knew about it and you just didn't tell your husband. So we actually see Jyn go speak to Miranda and she's asking Miranda, like, when was the point in time where you realized like I wanted to get a divorce? And she says, I was tired of arguing, and then something in my head, I just said I was done, and I felt like a weight lifted off me, and then I decided like we gonna get this divorce. And Jyn basically says she's not okay. She also talks about how she feels like she's farther away from God than she's ever been, and she's like, God feels silent to her. And I've been there. Like, it's especially if you are somebody that leans heavily on faith, and you're at this crossroads in your life and you're like freaking out. We also find out on episode 3 that Jyn is pregnant. She has a full-on breakdown because she's scared and she don't want to be pregnant by Zach again, because now she knows she really can't leave this relationship. Honestly, if I was her, I would have got rid of it. Would have slid all the way down. I probably would have drove to like Las Vegas and got me a plan B, popped a couple of pills and called it a day, because I would not be having no baby by Zach, and we're not in a good place. I'm just, no ma'am. But she has a full-on breakdown. Nobody knows that she's pregnant. She's keeping it a secret. Like I said, she goes over and has a conversation or talks to Miranda at her house. And like, she's just like, she's just in this hard place with Demi, Jessi, and Zach. And she feels like she's in the middle. But I'm like, you're the one that's making yourself in the middle. Like, the easy solution is stop telling these ladies your business and be honest with Zach about how you feel about things. Like, I don't know. I just feel like Jyn is the one who's causing these issues for herself, but it's also she's in like a toxic relationship with Zach, who is like mentally with her mind. So it's like, I feel bad for her, but I also feel like that doesn't excuse you lying to everybody and then being mad when people get mad with you, because then it feels like you're taking on the traits of Zach, where when people have legitimate gripes with you, all of a sudden you gaslighting them and trying to make them the problem. So she's just in this point where she just feels like her marriage is in the crapper, and she really don't know. And I wrote in my notes, your husband is trash, get away from him. That's the issue. And then at Whitney's baby shower, that's where she lets the tea out that she knows Layla is the one that wrote that letter, as well as like, Jessi and about Demi getting kissed on the cheek by one of the guys in Italy, and how she pretty much chastised her in Italy about, being hugged up with them single men. Okay. And so she basically is like, if Demi want to come at me on this Arizona trip when we go to the pickleball event, she should be ready for me, because I'm going to be dropping bombs and throwing skeletons out there. Okay. So our last girl is Miss Taylor herself. So Taylor's still going off at the Halloween party at Dakota, at Chase. She's mad at Dakota because she feel like Dakota didn't defend her, and she wanted him to defend her. But I was just like, Taylor, in what world do you expect someone to constantly defend you when you're telling them that you hate them? Like, in that conversation, she kept telling Dakota to F off. She told him that she hated him. He's looking confused, but still listening to what Chase is saying. She's mad because she just wants Dakota to stand there and just, stand up for her. But I'm just like, constantly telling somebody that you hate them and expecting them to care about you is crazy. It's crazy to me. And then I guess that's just like a Utah thing, because Kate was saying the same thing to Miranda about how she hated Chase, and she was like so embarrassed by his behavior, yet you went home with him that night. Like, I'm so confused by this behavior, because you got one time to tell me that you hate me and we're like in a relationship, and you will never see me again. Because if I tell you I hate you, that means I don't like you and I don't want you around me. So I was like, y'all are confusing. So Dakota leaves the party. Taylor is running after him, being like, where are you going? Like, don't be a coward. And Dakota's like, I'm not dealing with this no more. And now she feels some type of way because she feels like Dakota should have defended her. But I'm like, girl, why are you expecting this man to defend you again? Because you're telling him you hate him. It's weird. It's weird, Taylor. It's weird. So, like I said, Taylor and Miranda have their conversation about the whole swinging thing. On episode 3. Episode 4, we actually see her have a sit down with Macy and Michaela, and they talk about her and Dakota still fighting, and like, just at odds right about now. And Macy being like, you need to cut him off, and the only thing that y'all should be talking about is your child. Like, when he's picking up Ever, when he's gonna pay his like child support, like, that's it. Like, y'all shouldn't be still trying to like court the idea of being together. So then she also expresses how she's still cordial like with Miranda. She was like, she don't think they'll be friends, but she's cordial with Miranda. She also says that she felt like she was embarrassed by Dakota, saying that like everybody else could see that like he should have been defending me against Chase, but like he just stood there. And I'm like, you embarrassed yourself. Like, you could be embarrassed by Dakota, but you embarrassed yourself, ma'am. That's what you did. You embarrassed yourself, in my opinion. So then I wrote in my notes, this is just a toxic relationship. So then all of a sudden, Taylor starts crying about like her mind and having PTSD, about her self worth, and linking it to her father not being there and things of that nature. And then that's when Macy shares the whole like, I think it's I should have looked at my notes. It's called Sinner Sundays, about Demi's husband sleeping with somebody when she was away. Michaela outright says she don't believe that because Brent and Demi are always together. And then they start talking about Jyn and Zach and how they basically are just kind of like, they don't see why she's still with him, because Michaela said, well, Jyn says Zach is now allowing her to be herself. And Macy was like, see, and that's the thing. Jyn, you use that type of language. He's allowing me to be myself. I be like, he's allowing me to say what I feel. That sounds toxic and abusive. Why would you think your friends would tell you to work that out? Or your friends would like Zach after that? Or would not be saying ill things about your marriage if they think you're in a dangerous situation? That's madness. That is madness to me, okay? So we actually see Taylor and Dakota go to therapy. And in therapy, Taylor basically says that like she's mad that Dakota didn't defend her. She was like, her ex would have defended her. And I was like, then why didn't you stay with him if you expect him to do all these things for you? And I don't like when people do that. If you keep comparing me to somebody you were already with, why didn't you stay with them? Did they not want you? And that's the thing, because don't do that to me. But she says Dakota is like, he listened in the therapy session. Like he was like, he's okay with her processing things and, coming to her own terms. But he was like, it's also hard for me to like be there for you when I feel like you don't want me or like me. And I'm like, yeah, Taylor, every 24 minutes you're telling this man, I hate you. I hate myself. I hate you. I hate myself. And then you push him away and you're saying that how like he's a disgrace, but yet you're expecting him to like be there for you. That's weird. That's weird. And it's toxic as hell. Like Dakota and Taylor's relationship is so high school to me. Like their relationship is like they act like a bunch of high schoolers. Like you guys not being able to regulate your emotions, just lashing out and crying every 24 minutes. I'm over it. I'm over it. Don't be together, girl. Do not be together. Don't be together. So we then get to her and her mom. Here's the thing. Do I like Taylor's mom and dad? No, I don't. They are partly the reason why she needs therapy, because they did not help that girl build her self-worth up. And her mom low-key wants to be her. That's why she got her face done. And I think it really does kind of like, I think it makes them scratch their head at how well Taylor was able to create mom talk and create a niche, a market for her on this, on the TikTok app and get money from it. And I feel like it bothers them because I think they see Taylor as a failure. But I also have to look at Taylor and be like, well, girl, you're constantly allowing your family to say things to you. And the reason is because you rely on them so much to help you take care of them 3 kids. Like, she relies on them a lot. And that's why her family always has something to say about her relationship with Dakota, is because they are always picking up the pieces once you and Dakota are no longer together. They're the ones taking care of your kids while you're chasing after Dakota or while you're doing mom talk stuff. Like, they help you. So they feel like they have a say in what you do with your life or what you do. And it's like you have to create boundaries and distance between them. But I'm hoping in therapy she actually is talking about her parents, because they are assholes. Like, her mom and her dad, ew. Her sister is the only one that really has her back. So at the sex party, we see that there's tension brewing between Demi and Taylor, because Demi has a tendency to say some slick stuff to people and then expect them to kind of like, she likes to shroud it in like it's a joke, but it's not a joke. They were like doing these like rubbing, I think it's like the little whips on their hands. And Demi was just like, I'm so straight, it's scary. And Taylor was like, girl, you're just supposed to enjoy the sensation. And so Demi's like, well, I've never kissed a girl. That's you. Like, kind of putting her down. Same way she did last season about how she was like, what you did was like trashy behavior with the whole like swinging thing. And also, I forgot to mention this. Demi do got a little hater in her spirit, okay? Because she was not too happy about Macy and the book deal. You could kind of see like the tinge of jealousy kind of rising up in her, okay? So that is why Taylor did what she did at Whitney's party or her baby shower by outing what happened on Center Sundays with the confessionals and everything, and pretty much let it be known that somebody said that they slept with Britt while she was away. So Taylor knows what she's doing. She's trying to be messy. She's trying to get back at Demi. And that's what Taylor does. When she feels like you did something to her, she tries to one up the ante by getting back at you, by exposing you and things of that nature, because she feels like Demi is on a high horse. And I think that's pretty much it. When it comes to the girls so far, I feel like the season's all right. Maybe I was waiting for me to get excited the way I did with season 1. But so far, this season has been okay. So that's all I got for you guys. As always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in them comments below and subscribe. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.